Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
With the big, bold flavour of HP sauce, making breakfast legendary.
I am Frank Skinner. Yes! And, still alive. And I'm on Absolute Radio this morning with Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane, my compatriot. And you can text us on 81215, follow the show on Twitter at Frank on the Radio, or email the show via the Absolute Radio website.
Email, or send a cheque.
I was going to say you can phone us, and but I ended up saying you can... and I think everyone at home must have thought, how dare you? And in the end, I rescued it. Hello. Morning, Jim. Morning, Peter.
Morning, Richie.
Morning, everyone. You said email, and Emily sort of made a scornful noise as if, people don't email, but we have in fact had emails, and one of them is entitled Frank's Handwriting. Last week you were talking about your new pen, weren't you?
Thanks for that little summarising of my character there.
Scornful.
I thought it was succinct.
Morning, Frank, Emily and Alan. Love the show. Oh, shouldn't have read that bit.
Frank's handwriting. This is from my milkman.
Love the show, but would be grateful if you would up the work rate. The dogs have both a Saturday and a Sunday long, and a single podcast only covers one of them. Given Frank's recent acquisition of blotting paper and a Qatari fountain pen, you did get sent a posh pen, didn't you?
It was nothing to do with Qatar.
I just pointed out
imposed upon it
by me.
Yeah.
I said it looked like the sort of pen that a Qatari businessman might use.
Slightly scornfully.
Yes.
Slightly accurately.
Given your blotting paper and pen, he might like to check out the Idler Academy's handwriting course. Having had to handwrite a lot of letters in my last job, I finally realised that my writing skills still look like that of a 12-year-old's. I found this course, I'm now halfway through. I thoroughly recommend it. They also do beginner's ukulele, gin and knitting, introduction to ancient philosophy, I could have done that for the Descartes, and a whole host of other...
Say not ancient. Again, another faux pas.
How embarrassing.
Or as I would say, another faux pas.
What's that with that?
Can I say, I'm all over gin and knitting?
Yeah, that sounds good, doesn't it?
Gin and knitting.
Anyway, thought you might be interested.
Who is it? Who does these courses?
The Idler. Or the Idler Academy.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like the sound of...
I'd love to do some courses with you, Frank.
We should do a course, shouldn't we?
I had, doctors' handwriting is traditionally awful.
Mm-hmm.
I had a posh doctor for a while. He was rubbish. But anyway, he was posh. And he came round to see I was ill, he came round my house and had 3 glasses of wine.
He did.
Wow.
He did. How 70s.
I love that doctor.
Very 70s.
So anyway...
Did he say, do you mind if I smoke, love?
Anyway, he wrote beautifully. He wrote a prescription for me, and he had beautiful, like, copperplate handwriting, I think they call it. I said, He said, yes, when I did handwriting at school, I rather tried. And then he said, yes, in fact, I was taught handwriting by Traitor Blunt's brother.
Who?
Really?
You know Sir Anthony Blunt?
Sir Anthony Blunt?
Oh, really?
It was one
Traitor
of the people
Blunt.
in the
Yes.
There'd been a Russian spy for years, and he casually called him Traitor Blunt.
As if that was his given name.
Imagine if you were called that, Traitor Skinner.
If there's any posh people listening, I mean no animosity. I embrace all people. We're all God's children, as they say.
If there's any posh people listening, call me.
Yeah.
If there's any posh people listening, I'll be surprised. That's what I was
Well, they won't be up, you see.
Won't they? They'll be on the land.
Oh, actually, they could be. They could
on the land, Frank.
They could be out dispatching a bit of wildlife. But they won't do it with. They won't have earplugs in, because you got to hear them rustling in the undergrowth.
Yeah.
I rather tried.
Yes.
That's a good epitaph, isn't it?
I rather try. Yes.
Lovely.
It would
Okay,
be.
that's me sorted. How about you two?
That's
Epitaphs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I've worked out what I'm going to put on that cake I'm getting for Jeremy Clarkson for his farewell do.
You better make it rosé flavoured.
Oh, do you think?
Well, that's his fave. He loves rosé.
I bet he gets the red corners in the mouth. You know that? You know when people get white stuff in the corner and it's actually red because of the wine. Oh man, that's something else. I don't want to think about him like that. Look, there's lots of more face you can go to where there's none of that.
That's true.
You got more options with Clarko.
The Frank Skinner Show. Listen live every Saturday morning from 8 on Absolute Radio.
So I went to see the Eclipse
Oh, did you?
yesterday. It's.
Where did you view it from?
I viewed it from a place called Parliament Hill, which is on Hampstead.
I know it.
Hampstead Heath in North London. I know. I'm opening this out now for
Being
our
inclusive.
listeners from other parts of the country. I know
to the
you know
north.
it.
Okay.
Talking to the north, really.
It's a beautiful place. Very popular with the homosexuals.
Oh, Frank.
Well, it is. It just is.
What, during the eclipse?
Well, I'm afraid if they wanted cover of darkness, it never quite came. No, it didn't.
Was
though.
that a good
No, it
place to
didn't.
watch it? The best places were the Faroe Islands and Norway, and Frank's penthouse flat, I believe.
Actually, apparently the best place was on an EasyJet flight that
Yes.
deliberately flew so that people could get a good view of
I'm
it.
not going to get on a plane to see it.
I ain't getting on that plane.
Right, Mr. T. We're here to be working with Mr. T, Al.
Yeah, the Lost Solar Eclipse episode.
Yeah, but they actually he didn't like my fountain pen, Mr. T.
He would have.
Likes it. It was made for him.
No, but they don't encourage you, do they, with the eclipse? I mean, they say
mean?
there's this big thing. It's only going to happen every 22 years or something of that nature, and it's an amazing thing. Don't look at it though.
Yeah.
Don't look at it. Put a hole in a piece of cardboard, and then hold another piece of cardboard and watch it reflected. I mustn't watch it on the telly.
Yeah.
If I'm not going to see it, luckily,
did you do
I
that?
absolutely hate eclipses. Honestly.
I know what you mean.
No, they've never...
I don't.
Frank, one has never delivered in my life, in my
Well,
lifetime.
Hang on. When you said one has, that sounds a bit posh. You don't mean that.
I
do you?
rather tried.
One has never delivered.
No, I just think the moon is a bit of a buzzkill anyway. And the amount of times I've sat there waiting for an eclipse and nothing's happened.
Was that an Apollo 11 reference? He's still alive, Aldrin.
I mean, let's be honest. Was anyone overwhelmed by the eclipse?
Well,
No.
I didn't see it. When I say I went to see it, it was dense. I had my bin liner in my pocket.
What was the
That
bin
must have
liner
looked
for?
attractive.
Well,
You didn't
because-
have a bin liner in your pocket.
Yes, because
Is that just for excrement on Parliament Hill?
No,
Is that- You're doubling it up for...
yes, because some dog owners don't pick it up. Sometimes, if I see a dog doing one, I'll put the whole animal in there.
It's a modern
Well, also,
frustration,
yeah, he
isn't
needs
it?
to save it up for the Sony judges.
What if you did that?
He starts collecting it now.
What if you walked around? If you walked around parks with bin liners, and if you saw a dog having a poo, you just put the whole thing in. The dog got poo and everything. And then 3 house bricks straight in the lake. Done. No, so I took my bin. The bin liner is the best. Well, don't quote me on this. If anyone's thinking
Best
of watching,
/ cheapest.
when the next one comes in 22 years' time, don't say what it said on Absolute Radio. This is all right. The last time I saw an eclipse, which was a proper one, again on Parliament Hill, no cloud cover, I watched it through a bin liner. And it takes, obviously it takes some of the... I learnt this, I was doing a production of Endgame in the 1950s, you know, the dustbins. And I was using the bin liner for motivational work. And we
I love how inclusive this is. I was doing a production of Endgame.
Any
Yeah,
Saturday morning
Samuel
Beckett fans.
yes. And we were playing the Grand Theatre in Bikini Atoll, and I watched nuclear testing through a bin liner, and it was no more than an undipped headlight.
Excellent.
So that's how I learned. But this
One of the
time,
silliest lies you've ever told.
I never lie, ever. I turned up and with my bin liner, and it was just dense cloud. And I wouldn't have minded, but I've got conjunctivitis.
Can you
So,
answer a question?
I could have watched the whole thing through a curtain of pus. It wouldn't have even hurt.
Frank, please don't tell me you were on your own with the bin liner, because I'm walking.
No,
if you were on
no.
your own with the bin liner,
No, I had Boz with me. I had my life partner.
buzzkill.
I had my mother-in-law,
Yeah.
my mo-in-law.
My life partner, all right, Elton John.
Yeah, so we were all set for it. I said to Boz, this is a very special moment. So he looked at the clouds as well for an hour. Then we went home. So there's like 200 people there, all just looking at nothing.
Oh, it's like a 1950s day out.
You know what I mean? It's science. People going about science being really interesting. That's what it's normally like. Standing about. A lot of people with coloured hair up there. Never seen so many people in coloured hair gathered since I was last at a festival.
It's the
Which
it's
I
the
think
geeks,
was,
isn't it? The nerdy ones.
It was when Dylan played Isle of Wight.
Oh, yeah, back then.
God, I was the one. Don't know if you remember that picture of me. I was topless, sitting on a bloke's shoulders with body paint encircling my nipples. Yeah, no, I was young.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We've had some advice in. This is coming from Tom from the Royal Observatory. He says, do not look at the sun through a bin liner. He doesn't
Too late
elaborate.
now. This is conjunctivitis. It's not. It's not aqueous and vitreous humour that's split out of my eyeball.
He could just mean that it's a bit of a common thing to do.
Yeah, he could just mean, or you'll put big telescopes out of business. He could mean that. What about that? What if he's thinking about shop receipts at the observatory?
He has
Actually,
got a vested
Tom,
interest.
it's nice of you to. I love the Greenwich Observatory. I went to an exhibition there about time. One of the, say, top 4 exhibitions I've been to in my...
Of all time.
Exactly.
What about that sex museum in Amsterdam? You love that.
My point in a nutshell, as I say on any cold morning.
Sickening.
So I was on Hampstead. Oh, there was 2 dog fights while we were waiting to see the eclipse. It wasn't completely wasted time.
No, that's
Oh,
good news.
lovely.
People are so poor with dog fights nowadays. When they had dog fights when I was a kid, someone would always come out of a house with a broom and they would, they'd physically separate the dogs. This is this fighting. If they were having the nuptials, they used to throw cold water over them. But for fighting, they used to...
I like the idea
It's a
of
sense of
Doberman
obligation.
Pinscher having the nuptials.
Well, probably not the right word, but it's early in the morning. I have to come up with something clean. I'd rather it was inaccurate grammatically than or semantically than it was rude.
Yeah.
But they'd throw cold water over those. But it always was the broom for the fight. But now people just go, Butch, 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 Butch goes, Butch, Butch. The thing's ripping this thing apart, Butch.
Yeah, but they were talking to George Michael at the time.
Exactly. So you don't want to be
He was in
shouting
the
out on
bushes.
Hampstead Heath.
Yeah.
Oh, dear. But,
2 different dog fights.
yeah, 2 separate, 2 different, including in 4 participants, not one dog who was just going around causing trouble.
What have they got to fight about? They don't do anything.
Well,
No,
mainly,
they don't even have opinions.
Yeah, they do nothing.
What do they fight
I
about?
think they were mainly fighting about Frank trying to put them fully into a bin bag. Poo and everything.
But they are. Kat said to me that people have absolutely no control over their dogs at all. They just
That's
go,
true, yeah.
Paul. And the thing, it doesn't make any difference at all.
740 Ian Angle. Emily, I don't think you like being eclipsed full stop. Thank you, Ian Angle.
And what's clever about that, of course, is there is an element of full stop in an eclipse. Looks like a full stop moving into place. I'm sure Ian had that in mind.
Sure he
I was
did.
on the
you
phone.
don't... Oh, sorry, you
I
were
was
on
on
the...
the phone during the eclipse.
How
and,
90s?
Yeah. And,
What, the landline?
yeah. And,
God, yeah, remember those?
I was in Manchester, and I was on the phone to someone in London who was complaining that they couldn't see it properly, and in Manchester we got a better view of it than London, which always feels like a victory for the North-South divide.
we were sitting... I was a man sitting on a bench in Hampstead Heath. So a lady, she held an iPhone that had got other smartphones were available. Held it up and she had the Sky News on and you could see the eclipse. And she said, a really good view of it. She said, that's from Leicester. And I thought, this is the only person who's ever sat on Hampstead Heath and thought, I wish I was in Leicester.
Oh, thanks.
If you're from Leicester,
See, if
God,
I said
God
that,
bless
I'd be
you all.
in terrible trouble.
Yes.
They always say the economy lost, 500 million because of people taking time off work, they said, to view the eclipse. I never understand. I never believe that. Like we don't believe hypnosis and fainting on this show. I don't believe that.
Average speaking,
I don't
yes.
believe the economy lost 500 million because one estate agent was 10 minutes late into the office.
And does the National Grid say that when it goes dark with the eclipse, everyone puts the lights on as a massive upsurge?
Yeah, I think people put the kettle on to sit down and watch it. I think there's a lot of that sort of thing, isn't there? That's what they reckon.
But don't they go outside?
Yeah.
What they need is a thermos.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. They should stagger the use of electricity.
I I didn't. It didn't go dark. Not only was it cloudy, but it didn't really go dark.
Did in my bedroom, but that's another story.
It sounds like you didn't have a great eclipse.
I had a rubbish eclipse. They're very unreliable.
I googled it.
Well, that's what I've told you. They're rubbish, Frank.
I googled it to find out when it was, and quite a lot of the newspaper sites, like The Guardian and Sky and all the sort of news sites, said see the eclipse update moment by moment. What's that on a newspaper? Like on The Guardian?
No,
like, what are they saying? Oh, a bit more shades, bit more.
No, but the truth
bit
is,
light the other side now.
Get the bin liners out.
But the truth is, I was quite excited by it to see. I would have really liked to have seen it.
Yeah,
but it's hit and miss. It's the truth of it.
Yeah.
We sung Total Eclipse of the Heart.
Did you?
And then we had a bit of a row because my boyfriend got the lyrics wrong, and I won't tolerate that.
Oh no.
But did he change them to fit, like, planets and things?
No, he just kept saying things like, go around bright eyes. That's wrong. It's turn around. I won't tolerate that.
No, quite right. Go around bright eyes was, I think, what Paul Simon said when they were putting together the set for that reunion thing in Central. Oh, well, let's go around bright eyes. I don't think people really like that much. And Art said, what do you mean? What do you mean no one likes it? What are you talking about? People love that song!
Sounded a bit like Paul Gascoigne at the start of that, didn't he?
Yeah, he does sound a bit like Paul Gascoigne. Yeah.
Watch out, Culshaw.
Skinner, Dean and Cochrane. Together, The Frank Skinner Show.
Absolute Radio.
I met John Hurt last night, Sir John Hurt. Oh, exciting. The War Doctor.
The War Doctor?
Yeah, he was the War Doctor in Doctor Who, but I thought...
He has done some other work, in fairness.
No, he's done lots of stuff. And I'd tell you something, he did something that changed my life, which he did a TV show called The Naked Civil Servant, which was about Quentin Crisp.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I said to him, I thought, this is my chance. And I said, people say telly's trivial and stuff. I said, but I watched that programme when I was a youth, and it changed my life. Before it, I was homophobic, and after it changed my mind. And
strange things to admit on a commercial breakfast show.
Well, I was past tense, and he said, "Oh, very violent," and he was a really nice bloke.
Oh.
And I said, after all that, and he said, "Yeah, we didn't realise at the time it was a very special." Other people have said this to me and stuff, and I was really glad to tell him that. Mm-hmm. And then he said, and I said, "I've got to tell you, I'm also a massive Doctor Who fan." He went, and walked off. So that was that. But that was exciting. So, in another area of my life, I was doing a crossword with my mother-in-law.
Oh.
It's a very modern joke, this.
Sunday Express, 1953.
And we do a lot of crosswords together. It's one of our things. My mother-in-law, she's also my friend. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mother-in-law stroke friend.
Which crossword
she's my
is
MILF.
Are you going cryptic?
She's my MILF, mother-in-law friend.
Oh, God.
What? What are you looking at me like that for?
Yeah, that's what it always means.
I suspect you're rather good at crosswords.
Well, she's also very good. Together, we're one hell of a team.
Uh-huh.
We're a bit like Navratilova and Peter...
Sampras?
No. Who was her partner?
Her civil partner?
No,
Peter.
I don't want to go into that. on the court, 2 mixed doubles.
Oh, I can't
I never saw him do anything else, but he was very good. Anyway, let's not...
Someone will tell us.
Someone will tell us. They know everything.
But I suspect because of your no Googling training...
Yes.
That's why I think you'd be good at crosswords. You have a disciplined mind.
Well, I love a crossword.
Is it cryptic?
We were doing... Oh, by the way, can I just... let me just bookmark that. We were talking... There was a man... we have to watch the television in here in case the Queen dies. And there was... Because we have to let you know straight off. I don't want you finding that out in the pub.
No, not when you've been listening all morning.
No.
You think...
And also, we'd have to change the whole tone of the show. I'd play mainly military music.
Have you
military music and Queen. That's what
I'd read Tennyson poetry and then we'd play military music.
And then we'd play fat bottom girls.
I wouldn't play Queen under any circumstances.
This show's going to get cancelled. We've done a Clarkson.
Anyway.
Honestly.
It's great. I'm happy she's still alive. I'm not, obviously.
Okay.
She's a fine woman. Lovely gloves. I've touched her gloves. All right?
Just get on with it.
Okay. I forgot what I thought about. But there was a man on who had what the Americans call a pinky ring, which is a ring on his little finger.
Yeah.
Yes.
And if I see someone who's got a ring on their little finger, I think twice about them. And the reason is with this, and I'm based solely on one thing, and that is I was watching an episode of Laverne and Shirley when I was about 14. I don't know if you remember Laverne and Shirley. Shamil Shlamazel, House of Feather Incorporated. Anyway,
was it about Scousers?
No, it was an American. It was from the same. It was from the same stable as Happy Days and Mork and Mindy.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Anyway, and one of them said, "Never trust a man in a pinky ring," and I took that as being. You know, and it's had an effect on me.
I think the last time we talked about this, we compiled a big list of things that we then had to retract a lot of because it just felt a bit mean, didn't it? People were saying, "I've got a pinky ring, I'm all right."
Yeah, well, I'm not saying it's about the person; it's about how you respond to them. Have we talked about this before?
No, yeah.
My dad used to say, "Never trust a man who doesn't drink. Never trust anyone who doesn't drink. Never trust a man who doesn't like football."
Right.
You can get a little picture of my dad, the kind of fellow.
Just from those two sentences.
But I would be interested if anyone else has got any rules that they look out for. Because I think before we were just talking about to spot a bad person, but I'm on about just something that makes you a little...
uneasy.
Yeah, trust. I'm talking about trust.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I've got, never trust a man with a bootcut frayed jean.
Yeah.
Richard Hammond.
I'm against the umbrella. I just think get wet.
Do you think?
Yeah,
that's what the samurai code says.
Yeah, totally.
It says, and don't run from Eve to balcony. Just get wet. Just accept you're going to get wet and just embrace it.
You know, I am something of the samurai.
Yeah, you've got a bit of that about you. Yeah, I'm not sure about the ponytail.
You're listening to Frank Skinner's podcast from Absolute Radio.
Frank, you were instructing us earlier never to trust a man with a pinky ring.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm not saying that it's valid, but
Okay.
I know it's in me not to because of that, because of Laverne and Shirley.
Well, our readers, being a join-in type, they've joined in. So 472 says never trust a man carrying a dog. The emphasis there should be carrying a dog, I think, shouldn't it?
As in not just
Would you agree with that?
Well, this isn't a reference to me putting the whole thing in a bin line, is it?
No.
Do you mean like a lap dog? I worry about... I mean, one is making a statement when you carry one of those, but I've sort of changed my mind about this because if you saw a man with a little French poodle, you used to think, oh, for goodness sake. But now I think, how lovely that this man can have one of these silly little dogs and not trying to prove himself with a big Rottweiler or something like once is so many men. Trying to do.
It's like a man driving a small car.
Exactly. When David Coulthard told me he had a smart car.
Oh, he'll be paid for that,
Did
though.
you really?
Yeah, he has to have the side windows open to get his jaw in.
Well, this very morning I saw somebody driving a quite powerful vehicle with a lapdog in their arms.
I love it when you do topical.
It's very morning.
They were driving, that can't be
They
allowed.
had a
What, you
lapdog
can't
whilst
hold
driving.
a phone, you can hold a dog.
I mean, they'd already gone, but if they'd been at some lights, I would have performed a citizen's arrest, because that is not
Well,
in
you
the
would have
highway
had your
code,
handwritten
is it?
off.
I would have used my iPhone to make a little viral. Made some money.
I'd have used my conjunctivitis to make some viral.
Go and get them those eye drops, making me feel sick. 556, I'm always suspicious of people who choose not to shorten their names, despite a perfectly acceptable shortened alternative existing, e.g. the Peters, Williams and Christophers of the world.
Yes.
Get real.
Yeah.
That
I like
is a-
get real.
That is a very good point, because there is a certain... People are that touchy about their name.
I must admit,
But that's a good one. I'm happy with that one.
I'm calling that prissy when people do that.
I'm not delighted by Al, I'll be honest.
You're not. I've called you Al a million times. You've never said anything.
Yeah, I never said that I was upset by it. I'm not delighted by it. I don't
You
mind.
don't like cockerel, which is
I
a
don't mind
perfectly
that.
acceptable nickname.
What about...
I don't mind the cockerel
Let's
now.
not shorten it, but...
You don't like Le Coq Sportif?
What about...
I do like that.
You've complained about?
People never shorten the other bit. What if we said instead of Alan?
Yeah, that would be a bit of fun, yeah.
Frank loves shortening a name. Frank's the only person I know who calls David Baddiel Dave. He's so not a Dave.
I'm a but see, having just said don't trust a man who doesn't shorten his name, maybe we shouldn't have brought up David Baddiel. No, it's no. I find it. Oh, David, it's such a mouthful. 2 syllables. Life's too short.
Yeah, you're right.
When I was watching the Eclipse the other day, whenever I remember this last time I saw an eclipse, I always imagine the cavemen.
Oh yeah.
When they because they didn't know what it was. Mm-hmm. And imagine them being out on the plane and one of them going, "Don't look now." But how amazing that must have been.
And the other one going, "I haven't got a bin bag to watch this through."
No, because they didn't have bin. They were reckless with refuse.
What did they do with the refuse?
They ate it. There was very little packaging in the caveman day, as I understand it. Where does that come from? The caveman day.
I don't know.
It's I tell you what it's from. Everybody Loves to Be a Cat. Walt Disney song from Aristocats.
Oh, Walt Disney and his political correctness, eh?
Can make you a one and maybe I'll do this off air.
Yeah, I think you should.
The caveman day.
Yeah, let's do it off air. Off air, darling.
I'll do it off air.
This is
Frank Skinner, Absolute Radio.
This is still Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane. Text us on 81215. A lot of people have this morning. Follow the show on Twitter at Frank on the Radio. I don't know if they've done that. Email the show via the Absolute Radio website.
We actually have got a couple of different textings running, haven't we? One of them is it's who do you not trust?
Well, it's signs.
You kickstarted this.
Signs that would make you mistrust someone.
328 has texted, never trust somebody who smiles all the time, like that Dr. Brian Cox. I suspect the ends of their mouth are tied around their ears. Some people are very smiley,
He does
they?
smile
Just
a
are
lot.
naturally smiley.
Yes. Can you still say simple? He looks a bit simple.
Frank.
Can you
He's
say
very
that?
clever, though, isn't he?
He's actually, clearly he's very complicated, but he looks simple.
I envy those people, because my natural expression is quite dour, isn't it? It's my face
God,
is...
yes. But I think that probably...
Well, your expression's dour, but your heart is pure.
Yeah.
I'd say you're fairly dour on the inside.
Really sunny
No, do
disposition.
you know what I'd say Alan Cochrane is? Or Lecoq Sportif, as he prefers. He's one of those, he's like a character in a film, the grumpy old man, and you find out he's been secretly donating to the orphanage all along.
Like
sounds good.
Jack Nicholson and in that film with Helen...
Yes. I have no idea what you're talking about, but yes. No, I do know what you mean, Frank. As good as it gets, maybe?
Yes.
Oh,
I haven't seen that. Spoiler
What about
alert.
Tim Leeson? I don't trust Nick Grimshaw, he says.
Yeah, I was thinking of more general traits than the individual.
Although we could turn it out to individuals.
Let's not
Just
do
for a bit of fun.
Let's not do
James
that.
Finneran has tweeted us, don't trust anybody, less problems.
Well, yes, but it's a bleak view, James. I know what you mean.
Elizabeth, small men who drive fast cars, anyone who votes UKIP, and people from Smethwick.
Wow.
Well, I don't know if we can say that.
Yes.
Quite a list.
It is, yeah. And I certainly can't agree with some of my best friends, etc., etc.
Yeah.
Vote UKIP. I mean, I'm from Smethwick. Oh, God. Can we cut that live? You're joking. Is it? What about that bit of Matt Hampstead? Oh, that's gone out.
Still live after all this time. Claire has texted, like Frank, my mum always said never trust a man in a pinky ring, but also wearing brown suede shoes at the same time.
Oh, you see, I'm a big fan of it. In fact, this
You've got
morning,
some.
very morning.
That's one of the reasons I read that.
That clump was me putting my foot on the counter. Yeah. Is it a counter? Would you call it a counter? The desk.
I'm
Thank you.
loving
Thank you,
those
Dave.
shoes, Frank. Something of the Cornish pasty about those shoes.
I'll tell you what these shoes are, I'll be straight with you.
Okay.
Obviously it's a desert boot, classic
It's a
desert
box,
boot.
is it?
But you'll notice it's a bit wider than your average. You know why?
Why? You
Because
got a
they've
wide
been slightly
fitting.
redesigned by Liam Gallagher.
Oh, is that
Oh,
right?
Yeah,
are they pretty green?
He's webbed toes apparently he's got. You should see him swim. He's
Do you
like
know
a
what I like?
torpedo.
Frank, when you put your shoe up on the counter, I'm calling it counter, like we work in
Yes.
open all hours.
Yes.
Your manager craned his neck to examine the shoe,
I
see if
think
they
it was
were
just-
tax deductible.
I think he was just reassured that I could still get my leg on the desk, that there's a few years of earning in me yet.
Yeah. He was probably thinking, I wonder if they're going to do Tumble again. Let's get ready to tumble.
Yes.
You'd be good on that. You in a leotard, hello.
You'll have me on Stars in Their Eyes doing Sporty Spice. I mean an impression.
What about Judith, who's emailed us to say, hi guys, I went on a 4th date last week with a bloke who turned up in a long leather coat. Never trust a guy in a full-length leather. He's 5'9" and stocky. I was shocked to say the least, and we didn't have a 5th date. Say no more.
But
Jude.
did you go, Matrix? That's what you have to do.
You're listening to the Frank Skinner podcast from Absolute Radio. Want your Frank fix a little sooner? Listen live every Saturday from 8 a.m. on Absolute Radio. Across the UK on digital radio, mobile apps, and in London and the South East on 105.8 FM.
Absolute Radio.
I was talking about when computers stopped having names.
And my boyfriend's just texted me, which isn't newsworthy in itself.
You sure you want to read this out?
Yeah. I'm going to risk it.
Does it begin ooh baby?
No.
Okay.
You going out with Frank Spencer or something?
He says, Hal is named after the 3 letters that come before the letters IBM. Boring but true.
Well.
Oh, I never knew that.
I'm interested in that.
Far be it for me to disagree, but other texters have given other answers, I must say. I mean,
have you seen my boyfriend's brain?
They've not directly texted to the people on the show. They've texted the show.
Right.
990 has texted HAL equals heuristically programmed algorithmic computer.
I don't like programmed in there, do you?
I don't believe that. That's the thing the kid has made up.
Yeah, I suppose that makes it difficult. And then they say that Arthur C. Clarke only realised afterwards that one letter on from HAL is IBM, and said if he'd known he'd have changed it.
Oh.
So there.
What about Home at Last?
Home at Last.
That's my own theory.
054 has mentioned Kit.
Oh, yes.
Night,
I suppose he was a
Excellent.
computer, yeah. I
Night
forgot
Industries 2000 it stood for.
Oh, and also I was wondering what we should call this. I said it was an acronym. We've had an email saying an acronym is an abbreviation that you can pronounce, e.g. NIMBY or KIT, good example. Otherwise it's just called an abbreviation, e.g. RSPCA.
Yeah, but as I was on about Ernie, that was an acronym.
Yeah.
You were right on this occasion.
Yes, indeed.
And someone had one from Countdown as well.
That's right. The computer on Countdown that generates the random numbers used to be called Cecil, which stood for Countdown's electronic calculator in Leeds.
I love in Leeds.
You see, those were the days with Cecil. Now it's all short skirts and all sorts.
But now it...
Progress, you might say.
Now it suggested that they had other computers, didn't it?
Yeah.
That's our one in Leeds, but we've got them all over the place.
Yeah, Cecil, Countdown's electronic calculator in Wakefield.
It's odd that they tend not to have names now, whereas we call them personal computers, but in fact we're less personal with them.
Oh, there's too many of them now.
You think?
Well, I'm registered under my birth name, Christopher Collins, on my computer thing.
Oh,
and
thanks for that. Got the password.
And sometimes it says to me, hello, Christopher. And I always think, you don't know me.
Imagine how vexed you'd be if they put hello Chris or Toffer.
I just don't want that
Hello,
kind
Toff.
say, you know, what's it, the paperclip man.
Yeah.
I don't want that level of familiarity.
Oh, the one who does the dances?
Yeah.
Get out of my life.
Mind your own business. I'm coping. I'll call you if I need you. I say, In fact, I'm going to go as far as to say, harumph. I said harumph.
The Frank Skinner Show. Listen live every Saturday morning from 8 on Absolute Radio.
Can you two talk for a bit? Because I'm gonna get my drop put in by Daisy.
Really?
It just means I'll be on mic, but I'll have to lean back a bit. Otherwise, it'll just run straight down my face.
No.
It's this eye.
This is gross.
Have you noticed that right?
This
that
is the
reflection-
strangest sequel to 9.5 Weeks I've ever seen in my life.
That reflection on the ceiling looks exactly like the Empire of the Sun poster.
Never trust a man who has eye drops put in on commercial breakfast show.
How long do I have to keep my head back?
3 hours.
This is disgusting.
Just for 3 hours.
That's a nightmare.
It's going to make for good radio. Perhaps we should have left.
What if I
read
get
the
underneath the
instructions?
microphone like this?
Oh, that's good.
I'm operating completely underneath the microphone. Like
In a
I'm
kind of a
This is
limbo
terrible
stance.
radio. This is like Wayne's World or
I've
something.
lost my bearings completely, been upside down there for a minute.
I think the scriptwriters have gone mad this week. I really do.
Where are the script writers? Programme associates.
I don't know, but one of them's got a really bad eye. I think that's where he got his ideas. For
You
this
haven't put
week's
nearly
show.
enough drops in, Frank. You need to do 3 times that amount.
It said 2
Three
drops.
times?
2 drops
Never.
every 4 hours.
3 times? He's not having a shower in
but
eye
it
drops,
says
is he?
And most of that ran out. I've got no room in my eye.
It also says don't take these while operating heavy machinery. But
Yeah,
do I obey
You're still
that?
going to
No.
drive the desk, aren't you?
Oh, I'm going to drive to death. The trouble is with my eye, it's quite curved, so it doesn't naturally take liquid.
Oh, that's your eye, is it?
if only
Everybody
it
else
was-
has got flat eyes, have they?
If it was concave, obviously it'd just sit there and I
I
could
noticed you
marinate.
didn't say that when you stood underneath that vodka sculpture.
Oh, those were the days.
An abbreviation is a shortening of a longer word. An acronym that you can't pronounce as a word is called an initialism, like NSPCC. Hashtag get it right. We've been told off by 870.
Get it right. What happened then? Sorry, that's my little take me out moment.
Yeah.
The computer on Family Fortunes was called Mr. Babbage.
It was.
Charles
it was.
Babbage,
Yeah.
Yes.
creator of the first mechanical analytical engine.
Excellent.
Well, I'll get to our house.
That's from PIL Paul in Leeds.
Oh.
Oh, lovely, Al. I just got that.
So,
It's a reference to Cecil.
Public Image Limited as well.
Yeah.
Oh, Frank, what about Dame Elton John this week?
Oh, he's had a week.
Oh,
hasn't he?
she's had a week, hasn't she?
He has had a week.
Can we say that?
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
With my fan base, of course I can.
He has,
Well, there was-
he's been angry.
There was an incident
He gets
with...
very angry, doesn't he, EJ?
Yeah.
Oh.
He's quick to ire.
He is.
There was a bit of an incident with Stefano and Domenico.
Dolce and Gabbana.
Yes,
as I
that's
like
what,
to
as
call
you
them.
call them.
What are they not called?
Stefano and Domenico, those are
Oh,
their
okay.
names.
Is that how you know them? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not happy with what they
Dolce
said.
was such a
They
nice
said-
bloke, wasn't he, when he sang Shut Up Your Face?
Yes. Yeah.
Now he's got very catty.
Yeah.
It was rather extraordinary what they said.
Yeah.
and
It was out of order. I think,
yes,
Probably.
I would agree with that.
It's our feeling.
Well, Elton said, and I quote, on a text, "Your archaic thinking is out of step with the times, just like your fashions."
Yeah. That is a
Oh,
zing.
that is harsh, especially coming from a man who ever at home in a shell suit.
Yes. and I
But
suspect
wow.
And then he
wonder
said he
if
was
the-
going to boycott them, which, let's face it, any designer, the idea of Elton John boycotting your clothes, that's a black day.
Yeah.
He was seen, though, out with a D&G bag.
Reebok must be worried.
good day for the Adidas.
what was that
What
about?
was that all about?
He was out with the Dolce and...
Well, I'll tell you what it was all about. It turned out the whole spat the day before was just handbags at dawn. That's all it was.
Excellent
Do you
work.
think, Al, do you think they sent him a freebs? As a sorry. I mean, I know
maybe.
sorry seems to be the hardest word.
Yes.
But I wondered whether they'd sent him a freebs. It was
Maybe.
pointed, wasn't it, that he carried
He got
that
some
bag?
from those Indian clothes designers as well, who were called Sari, seems to be the hardest word. Sorry, that was rubbish, but, it's out there now. Apparently it's live, we'll stop with it. No, but the bag! He's got this thing, hashtag boycott Dolce and Gabbana.
Yeah.
And then he's out with the bag the
Yeah.
next day.
Although I wondered if he was just putting the bins out, like when we use sometimes we'll use a kitchen bin bag that says Sainsbury's or a Tesco's or something, and maybe that's just what Elton's got lying around.
He's on his way to a recording studio.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
What was he taking to the recording
He doesn't put the
studio?
rubbish out. He's like a caveman. He eats the whole thing.
Not anymore.
I'm looking forward to hashtag boycott Dolce and Gabbana, except the bags.
Yeah. Do you
Which
think...
clearly he finds quite spacious and
I
durable.
mean, I had tremendous sympathy with everything he said this week, so I didn't agree with Stefano and Domenico, even though I'm on first-name terms with them. However, I do think he's not someone... You wouldn't like him when he was angry, would you, when he was
No.
angry?
Elton.
Yeah, he gets so narky, doesn't he?
I bet the voice comes... "Brr, brr." What did he say? Tell them to Elton really curtail your language. If I see that Dolce and Gabbana, well, that's what he's like. He can't be tamed.
Frank
Skinner
on Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
736 says, "Hi Frank, me and about 20 mates had a good Eclipse event. We flew above the clouds to about 15,000 feet, then we all jumped out. Possibly the best view anybody got. That's the Chatteris Skydive Club."
Wow.
Blimey. Did they descend in darkness?
I don't know.
I suppose for a bit of their skydive, they must have been in dark.
They'd want to stay up there to watch the actual eclipse, so I'd be a bit frightened about seeing it that close up.
I'd be a bit
I think you might be
frightened
struck. You might be struck by the planet. What is the planet that's going past it?
Well, don't ask me. I hate eclipses. We've established
What's
this.
the planet
Is
that's
it the
going
moon
past
going
it?
across it?
Yeah, it's the moon.
Isn't it? It's the moon is in between
The moon
us
should
and
be
the
in
sun.
bed.
Yes,
That time of the day.
That's why it's so amazing, isn't it, that the moon's out? That's one of the reasons that we all watch it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the moon's out.
This is why science gets
That's what I
boring,
told you.
isn't
The moon is called the cooler if it goes to a party, because no one likes the moon. Sun's great. Moon is
I like the moon.
depressing beyond
The
belief.
sun hasn't even got a face. The moon's got a proper face on it. Then it's
Terrible
we're
skin, though.
We're back to
Terrible
the
skin.
computers again. When did planets stop having faces?
Moon needs a facial.
That's a good texting. Are there
Frank.
any other planets with faces? No, it's
We'll get the writers to work on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Elton John, she's not done.
Can you call him that?
Yes!
Okay.
These are my people!
Okay.
You said that before. It's fun. I'm finding it fun. Frank
Okay.
seems tense about it.
I
The
like
mother.
it. When
There's
homosexuals do, I always find it hilarious when they say, "Oh, here she comes." I mean, I find that hilarious. But I feel.
No,
there's
I'm female, I have diplomatic immunity. You can't say it, I can.
No, I don't feel like to say. I think you've got to walk the walk,
Yeah.
and I can't walk the walk at my age.
No.
Not without talcum powder.
Anyway. Dame Elton has fallen out with his mum.
Yes, I'm sad to hear that.
That is sad.
It was her 90th birthday. Well, apparently she said something. I don't know what she did, but she offended his partner, David Furnish.
Oh,
Yeah.
I hope she didn't bring up the list of producing jobs. I have
Isn't that
to
awful?
say,
But that's exactly what I think that might have happened.
I have to say,
I think she got up the IMDb.
pardon
She
me.
got up his...
Well, it was-
Is that another acronym?
was she a medical person?
No, that's that page, isn't it, which has everyone's
is.
production
I've
credits.
got to tell you this, and I've met David Furnish about 4 or 5 times, and he is truly a really, really nice bloke.
Oh, it's charming.
Really nice bloke. Elton obviously can be a bit spiky, but David Furnish is a nice man,
Yeah.
in my experience.
Right.
But moms, the partner's never good enough for the son. That's a long tradition.
Yeah.
But she went to quite extreme lengths, didn't she? She hired an Elton John tribute act for
Yeah.
her birthday party. Which
There's something a bit slightly tragic about. I mean, tragic in the
fun.
profound sense.
I think
Your
it's
son
funny.
doesn't turn up, so you hire. Who else would do that?
Well, you say that. I hired a Baddiel and Skinner tribute act for my 30th.
Well, we would have come. You could have got us for 20 quid each.
What would your tribute act be called?
Actually,
3 lines.
Skadeel and Binner.
nice. Yeah. Just flip it.
3 lines, 3 liars. Okay, so
I like the fact that Elton John said that he couldn't go because he was on tour. Like, and one of his
No, a
spokespeople
spokesperson
said,
said that.
spokesperson said
Yeah.
he can't be there if he's got a show. And you think, well, he knew when his mum's birthday was coming up
must
before
have
the
known.
tour. It's not
Yeah.
like the birthday caught him on the hop, is it?
Mum's 90th.
Yeah.
It was.
she hired...
She was described, by the way, in the Daily Mail, I don't know if you saw this, as the singing sensation's mother, Sheila Fairbrother. When's the last time he was called the singing sensation? I mean, don't get me wrong, he's a very successful big star.
Yes.
But singing sensation is like someone who's just emerged, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, that was a long time ago, wasn't it?
It's what the sort of thing they usually call, the Benny and the Jets star. That's what they used to call them. They give them a name. Do you know Benny and the Jets? What a party that was. I had to burn those clothes.
Skinner, Dean and Cochrane. Together, The Frank Skinner Show.
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane. Text us on 81215. Tweet us on @Frank on the Radio. Email us via a word I've always loved, the Absolute Radio Webby.
Someone's texted you, Frank. It's Michael from Grubby, Leicester. He's probably upset about what you said. Of course the sun has a face. Have you not seen Teletubbies? And at least the sun has got his hat on. Good point.
Yes.
Good point.
Yes.
The moon hasn't got a hat on, has he?
Well, don't get me started on the moon. He's got nothing going for him.
Yeah, you with your strident opinions on the moon.
The sun hasn't really... I've never seen the sun with anything that looks like a hat. Saturn, at time, can look like it's wearing some sort of boater.
Mm-hmm.
That's tricky. The trouble is with astronomy, it needs more stuff like that. Make it a bit more fun.
Yeah. Anyway.
Coxie.
Does Coxie do astronomy? Coxie covers most of it.
That's his big thing, astronomy.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He's an astronomer. I'll go as far as to say that.
Oh, is he?
No, I don't think he is.
He is. He's an
He's
astronomer.
not an astronomer. He's a nuclear physicist.
Professor Brian
Is he?
Cox isn't an astronomer.
Oh, is he? Oh, I thought he was... I didn't think he did that anyway.
That's the text in. What on earth does Professor Brian Cox do for a living?
I know his smile is out of this world. That's
Well, he
all
used
I
to
know.
be in D-Ream. We
Yes.
know
He
used
that.
to be in
Obviously,
D-Ream.
that's one of those things
in
that
his
everyone
heyday.
knows.
Yeah, that is a fact. Yeah, it is. That is the fact that you say. Do you know he used to be in... do you remember D-Ream? He used to be in that, and everybody knows it.
What's the other one, Frank? Gary Oldman?
Yeah.
Gary Oldman's sister, Big Mo.
Yeah.
And that's not gossip, that's her name in the thing.
Yes.
Anyway, we're speaking of Big Mo's. No, I can't do this.
You can't.
We'll have to get another link to Elton John. Can we get another link
Going back to Elton John?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, so the mother was banned from the party.
Yes.
But she hired an Elton John.
She wasn't banned from the party. She had
Oh,
her
no,
own
I mean, the
party.
mother had a party and he didn't turn up. I do
Wouldn't it be great
apologise.
if it turned out that Elton John himself had hired a 90-year-old woman to just hang around with on the same day? If that...
Oh yeah.
That is
if he'd hired a look, not just anyone, but if he'd hired
An Elton John's
90-year-old.
mum look-alike.
I
She's
don't
probably
think
not busy.
A major celebrity has hired a 90-year-old woman since Wayne Rooney.
Hank,
Anyway,
is that okay?
no, there's something. It's a funny story that she hired
Yes.
an Elton John. Obviously, there's an
Yeah.
element of tragedy to it as well. But the fact that the Elton John impressionist.
990. B. Cox, M. Right, Frank wrong. Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
he's not an
Well,
astronomer.
I said I thought he was a nuclear physicist,
Oh,
which I believe is a different
I
job.
wouldn't like to think of his smiley hand on the button. Say, let's see what Russia make of this, baby. No, don't do that, bro. Oh, I said don't let him in here. He's not. I don't think he's all there. Is he all there? I don't think he's all there.
Charlie, can you take a screenshot of that text we just got in?
Well, we've only got one person's word
M.
for
Right,
this.
Frank wrong. Okay?
M. Wright.
Yeah.
yeah.
He used to be. He's a good centre off.
Anyway, sorry, you were talking about Elton John.
Yes. So what was I saying about him? Oh
The,
yes. So the lookalike, the Elton John tribute act.
Yes.
Performed at old Mar John's. Mar John, isn't that
Are you referring
is that
to?
a game? Mar
Yes.
John.
Yeah.
Are you referring to Paul Bacon?
Paul Bacon.
Yes.
Yes,
That's
is
his
that,
name.
that is who I'm referring
I
to.
heard he was a bit of a ham, but I don't know.
Oh, well. Anyway, so yeah, Paul Bacon as Elton John, but the real, not a Kiki D impressionist,
Well,
which
let's face it,
would be
there's
fairly
not going to
thin
be
on the
much
ground.
call for those.
I used to think she was lovely, fresh-faced woman, Kiki D, in her prime. Anyway, the real Kiki D performed with the Elton John lookalike. Now, I can't
What's Elton
believe...
going to make of that?
Oh, dear. Hashtag boycott Kiki D.
Can you imagine that mobile phone message?
Oh, I don't even want to think. I mean, she's worked with him quite a lot, Kiki D, hasn't she? I think she used to do backing vocals.
Yeah.
It wasn't just a one-off thing. I think he regards her as family.
Imagine when she has to pick up her phone. You have one new message.
Oh, terrible. Oh. No, she shouldn't have done that. That's. But I wish they could work it out, because I hate to have a man estranged from. I think it was Dean Martin who said, "Show me a man who loves his mother, and I'll show you a man who's man enough for me." That's from Oedipus the Musical. Which coincidentally features the Elton John song, Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me.
Oh, God.
You're listening to Frank Skinner's podcast from Absolute Radio.
Oh, we've had some Brian Cox clarification, have we not?
Yes.
Yeah, we had George in Bexley who texted...
Apparently he's a dustman.
George in Bexley texted in capitals, "He works in particle physics," and then went to lowercase for George in Bexley. So
Oh, yeah.
I have to say, particle physics is a fishing tackle shop in Chelmsford.
Is it?
He works in there.
Right.
No. Particle physics, I don't know what it is, but
But Brian
Well,
Cox
Frank's
probably
half
does,
right,
doesn't he?
because he went to the School of Physics and Astronomy.
see, it's all coming
How
out.
big is that of me to admit that?
No, I respect
You
you
know?
for that.
Yeah, respect is due.
We're both right, Frank.
What kind of a school
Yeah.
is that? School of Physics and Let's
Can I
go to
tell
a
you?
school.
A school with
where
terrible clothes.
Yeah.
That's what I'm telling you.
A school where you just do the worst lessons. I want to go to a school of, like, art, English and games.
Yeah.
PE.
Games.
You know, PE, that's what we call
History,
PE at
maybe?
our school.
I'm not sure you can do games at degree level, Frank.
I don't know,
Well,
have you been to Loughborough?
yeah, exactly.
No, that's why I've got a job.
Exactly. You could be in sports therapy.
Sports therapy.
The leisure industry, that's what
Certainly
people
put a
do.
lot of sportsmen
Yeah,
into
people do
therapy,
go
I like
into
to
that.
think,
I
haven't I?
know that. Let's not name them.
Anyway, I wanted to slightly pick your brains about you finished your tour, didn't you, at the tail end of last year? Your
Yes.
tour
Oh,
is
yeah.
my little tour, which is much more bijou than yours. You did like 1 million dates. Mine's like 25 or something. But it's drawing to a close, and I've got tour updates.
How's it gone?
It's been fun. It's
Good.
been fun, largely. But I will say this.
Oh.
I mean, there's been highs and lows. I think a high point
Always.
was last week in Canterbury. I did a show there, and I did a thing that I didn't expect myself to do. I did a radio-related shout-out to a member of the audience.
Who was it, the Archbishop?
No, there was a gentleman that was moving away from Canterbury, and his best friend, who's been his best friend for like 20 years, she emailed this show, and she emailed me directly, and she emailed Emily, and she emailed Steve Hall, and
She
said,
didn't email me.
please, could you... She probably thought that you were out of reach and that you wouldn't pass on the message.
Little does she know.
And she said, "Oh, can you say hi to
the last
Alan and
message
wish him well?"
I got from Canterbury was, "Will no one rid me of this meddlesome priest?" And that got completely out of hand.
Very good. Still topical.
Yeah.
Going with a lot of topical this link, aren't you? So I did it.
Well,
and,
Rob Beckett is currently on
Yeah, true enough.
Absolute, so it's nearly
Yeah.
topical.
Yeah. So I did this shout out at the start. I said, "Oh, you've reduced me to like a bingo caller." So, "Oh, we've got so and so in," and then by the end of the night, I thought, "Oh, I think that was their favourite bit, actually."
Yeah.
It's a shame innit, when you go from that to the jokes, and they go, "Oh, yeah."
Oh, can you say some other people's names?
Yeah, quite liked it when you were talking about Alan Fox, who's moving.
Is that his name? You've done him. Give him another shout out.
Yeah, I think that was his name.
Foxy.
You're so strong on your local material.
Yeah, but I also want to pick your brains about bleakness. I mean,
Oh, well, hold on. Well,
Oh.
let's have some adverts first. That should set us up nicely.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
I've received a text from Paul Munson. Not a text, I'm sorry, a tweet. He's got a question
Martin.
for me. He says, what did you think of the eclipse? Which did you like best, Emily, the sun or the moon?
Which is another song from Oedipus the Musical, when she has the affair with Shane Ritchie. Which did you like? It's a good question, isn't it? And I've never heard that said of the eclipse before.
I'm glad you've asked
You
me
have
that
to pick a
because
team.
I've got strong opinions on this.
Okay.
The moon, the sun every time. I find the moon, she's a bit of a sourpuss with bad skin.
You think of her as female?
Very much so.
Man in the Moon.
No, but I think of the moon as related to the feminine, if you know what I mean.
Oh. I don't know what you mean, but...
Well, Daisy does.
Oh, don't like the sound of this.
No.
It's all gone a bit cranberry juice.
Yeah. Should we change the subject?
I'm more of a sun
A bit oil of
person.
evening primrose.
I'm more of a sun person,
Well,
Frank.
see, I know.
Where do you stand on the sun or the moon?
In the eclipse context, not generally.
Yeah. Have you got an opinion on this?
Well, you
Frank?
haven't said.
No one's ever stood on the sun.
You're sitting on the fence now.
Well, in an eclipse, I like the fact that the moon's completely. It's a bit
It's in the way.
looking like a goth. It turns up completely black. You never see it completely black like that.
No.
If it did that at night, it could travel about the sky completely incognito.
I just don't really like the fact that it's there. I don't like. It shouldn't be there. It shouldn't
No.
be there.
Well, exactly,
And
it's-
it's right in the way.
It's
I mean,
what I'm going
really.
to call a party person, and it should stay there.
It is. It's pushy, isn't it?
It's like Pete Doherty turning up in the morning. There's no
know
place
what-
for you.
Do you know what it is?
It does look a bit like the moon.
It
It
does.
needs a yellow card for obstruction. That's what it needs.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, it's
Right
like
in the way.
It's like that bit on Mock the Week when they stand up and they have to go over to
Oh,
the
the Pits
micro.
of Doom.
Something that you wouldn't hear on Star Trek. That bit.
Oh, and they go,
And
is
it's like
it?
the sun has
Yeah.
moved towards the microphone and
Yeah.
the moon has gone right across him.
That's
right
exactly
across
what
him.
it's like.
The poor sun. The sun's like a
Impressive.
poor woman in a waistcoat. They always have one of those, don't they, on Mock the Week? Pretend we have women on, stick a woman in a waistcoat.
Woman in a waistcoat, I know.
Anyway,
Would that have been as big a hit?
I'm glad
Probably
we've cleared up. We all know how we all feel about the sun and the moon.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's interesting. But I wanted to ask Frank about my bleakness on tour. You did a bigger, sort of shinier tour last year, didn't you? You had a tour manager and everything. So
not. Oh yeah. Did you not have a
Mike-
tour manager?
no, I just drive self. Me and my support act. We sort of
lovely.
sometimes he doesn't come, but it's just me sometimes. But given that there's somebody else whose job it is to organise things, do you ever have what I find I sometimes get? It's food scarcity problems where you kind of drive into somewhere and you're like, oh, when are we going to eat? Oh my God, the show's at 8 o'clock.
Don't like the sound of
I need
this.
to grab some
You
food.
mean after a long day's filming, you can't get a nice steak? I think I know where this is going.
Punched a poor technician in the eye the other day.
Oh, you shouldn't. Well, no, I don't. I have the tour manager who will give me a list of available
That's
restaurants in a 1 mile
That sounds a bit
radius.
of a euphemism.
That is
Available
fantastic.
restaurants,
In fact,
Hooters,
this,
Sophisticats.
this is something that I have on the work surface in my dressing room, which is a laminate which was made by my tour manager.
It's not.
No way.
It's not.
And it offers, if you want to read
Brilliant.
what, so it has circles for drinks receptacles to stand in.
This is not true. Please let me see
The
this.
top of it says pre and post show menu, and then a nice refreshing drink of water, or perhaps a carbonated mixed fruit drink. Feeling peckish, maybe a nice Swedish butter almond chocolate bar.
Yes, so what it is,
Excellent.
so there'll be a bottle of water, a bottle of Dr. Peppers, and then a dime bar on that laminate.
Can I say, Frank, your
Every
manager
night.
currently has the uneasy look of Professor Frankenstein.
It's on a monster.
It's all, you know.
Because what happened recently
It
to
helps.
me was
Can I see that rider, please, Frank?
we were driving to do a tour day in Scunthorpe, and weirdly beat the traffic. Got there a bit early. Said, "Oh, we've probably got time for a cup of coffee if we could pop off." We were just looking, going, "No, there's nowhere for a coffee." Drove past a huge Tesco's with a Costa coffee in it, and went in at tea time just as they were like nearly clearing up. I walked up to pay for the couple of coffees and like a millionaire's shortbread thing, and the woman went, "Card reader's not playing." So I tried it again. She went, "Card reader's not playing." I was tempted to point out, I think it is playing, it's not working.
Did
Yeah.
you say you're not a millionaire?
She said, no, she never.
Do you remember when I ordered millionaire shortcake in a cafe and Kat said, "Don't do that, draw attention to yourself." It's true.
Anyway, there was a bit of a silver lining. She said, you can just have them for nothing since the card reader's not
Result.
working. It's our fault. Yeah. So
Well
it's a
done
silver
for
lining
breaking in
what
with that
could-
screwdriver at night.
the silver lining, what could otherwise have been a bleak tour story, turned out...
Oh, that's lovely. Alan actually slept rough in Scunthorpe until they mended it, just for the free stuff.
The Frank Skinner Show. Listen live every Saturday morning from 8 on Absolute Radio.
I'm going to get a greatest hits. We forgot how brilliant T-Rex were.
I'm going to put them on my pre-show for next year.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Smashy and Nicey. Is it late enough in the show for us to discuss the story I've been wanting to discuss all morning, which is the poo? There's no polite way of saying it. This was this British Airways flight to Dubai, which was forced to actually reroute due to someone doing a bit of business in what I call Fonzie's office.
Yes.
A bit of business.
It's absolutely disgusting. Mm-hmm. Can you imagine how bad was that?
No, well,
they had to come home. The pilot made an announcement. In my whole life, I have never done anything like that.
No, but we talk about... Sometimes we'll talk about an embarrassing situation we've been in. But you go to the toilet on a plane, you come out, and then the pilot says, sorry, but the smell is so bad, we've got to turn the plane round. How can anyone cope with... How could you cope with that? That embarrassment.
Imagine ringing people saying I had a bit of a bad week. I was that person.
Oh, no. It's just everyone would have known that it'd be...
Yeah.
Why haven't there been pictures?
I'm going to do it again.
Why haven't there been pictures? Will they have a silhouette picture
of the toilet or of the person? I was thinking you were...
No, I think that wouldn't be fair. I think they've got to be allowed to move on.
Mm-hmm. I went back home.
I think they've done enough of that.
There's too much of it, and I don't like it when you go in public toilets and someone is... I think, do it at home.
How can you do that, though? You go when you need, don't you?
No, you don't.
No.
You can't.
Never.
No,
it's a private thing, not even if my boyfriend was in the house.
I think men's toilets should just have urinals. They shouldn't have any sitting there. I honestly believe that. I think you're just encouraging people. You put the idea in their heads. They go in there and then they think, well, I suppose I might as well. No.
It caused a 15-hour delay.
Yeah, that is some poo.
But when I read about this...
15-hour delay, I mean...
That's what the Sony judges said about our show.
Goodness me.
When I read about this, though, my first thought was there's a bloke with his pregnant wife and they were going on holiday.
Pregnant women around as well. Some people are sick.
I know, it's awful. As if they don't feel ill enough. And he said, we were at the airport and I thought, this is one of those tragic stories of people's holidays spoiled. And then when I noticed that they were going to Dubai, suddenly it seemed like a funnier story.
Yeah.
I thought, they're going to Dubai. It'll do these people good to smell what real life smells like.
Says the man with the $3,000 gold pen.
Oh, yeah.
2.5. Let's not go crazy.
Rounding up. I liked it because one of my bugbears, one of my bête noirs is when people say, oh, babies on planes, they spoil everything. I think the baby's just being a baby. Adults are the people that annoy me more because they should know better. But I bet that plane had a baby walk on, well, not walk on themselves, but, I bet somebody brought on a baby and everybody's heart sank like, oh, God, the baby's going to cry or feel its nappy and smell. I bet when that happened in the proper toilet, the parents were like, brilliant, we've got this, we could just... apparently nice little sweet smell,
why didn't they just bring down the oxygen masks?
Or open a window?
I do that anyway on the plane.
No, but if you've got the oxygen
someone
mask...
next to me, I don't like the look of him, I'll get down the oxygen mask.
Really?
I always carry perfume with me on the plane.
Blue velvet.
Do you know what I do? It's very passive-aggressive. When I get onto a plane... And if I don't like the look of someone near me or I think they might be smelly, I just get a spritz of Chanel out. I spray it all around me with the perfume. I do.
Oh, not in a confined space.
You say that, but how useful would I have been on poo plane?
You wouldn't have coped with that. You would not have coped with that.
I would have opened a window.
Yeah,
that would be like putting out Windsor Castle with a small receptacle of water.
Yeah.
That was a bit of a struggle. I'm all right now. I'm all right now.
Scriptwriters have gone off the ball now, haven't they?
I'll tell you what, can you still see these can you see that spot on my neck?
Oh, I can, yeah.
And can you see that one?
Oh, yes, it's like bolts.
Absolutely massive.
Yes, it is. It is. It's like Frankenstein. I'll leave the bolts out today. Let the air get to it.
What has gone on?
How have you got those?
So I've got a spot. Kat said to me, I'm going to move. I can't stand looking at that spot. I said, there's no mileage. I've got one on it. It looks like I've swallowed a pencil.
Yeah.
What's happened?
I'm too... why am I getting spots even at my age?
Yeah.
Can I say, if you're getting spots and you've got wrinkles, something's up.
What?
You shouldn't get them both at the same time.
No, that seems...
Spots and wrinkles?
Very, very
because once you get to a certain age, I think you should stop with the spots.
I agree.
Have you?
I didn't. I made no. It was no decision made in this. They just. But the fact that they are absolutely one on either side of my neck in a straight line.
Have you been fiddling with one of them, and then you've sort of scratched your neck on the other side, and you've moved the germs from one side to the other, and you've recreated?
Don't be ridiculous.
Does that not happen?
No, they came up simultaneously.
I mean, I'm no Professor Brian Cox, but that seems like a scientific
they came on
explanation.
like.
He covered that in one of his astronomy programmes.
Did he?
Yeah, the squeezing of spots.
They suddenly came up like brake lights. It's horrible, and I've sort of forgotten how to deal with them.
Toothpaste,
really.
is it? Toothpaste, or is that Love Bites? I think that's Love Bites, isn't it? What is it that you do to
toothpaste.
spots?
No, toothpaste works.
Does it?
Yeah.
Yeah, a bit of.
If you're looking to go
toothpaste
down the
on it.
Pennywise route, which I know you always are.
I had a wart when I was a child on my forehead. They were very popular in the 60s.
On the forehead!
Yeah.
It's a lovely thing to talk about.
Life was brutal for you
It
there.
was. I had
Could have been on your foot or your leg, but forehead.
No, wart on the forehead.
How did you get rid of it?
Well, the standard thing then was rub a bit of meat on it and bury it in the garden.
No, it wasn't.
It was, yes.
The standard thing was never rub a bit of meat on it, Frank.
Well, it was in the West Midlands in the 1960s. So you used to rub meat on it, bury the meat in the garden, and when the meat rotted, the wart rotted. That was the theory.
Did it work?
Well, I did it. I rubbed the meat on and buried it in the garden. 2 days later, I was combing my hair. I combed the wart straight off. I remember I thought, oh, that hurt. And there was a line of red went straight down my face. I looked like Colgate.
Oh!
Frank, this is horrible.
Yes, sadly we're ending on this anecdote, which is, we're supposed to end on lightness and laughter.
Come back poo in the toilet, all is forgiven.
Anyway, A.A. Milne, 1923. So that was the one he never published. So look, so if you've got a wart, rub a bit of meat on it and bury it in the garden. So thank you so much for listening this morning, and if the good Lord spares us and the creeks don't rise, we'll be back again this time next week. Now get out!
The Frank Skinner Show on Absolute Radio. Back Saturday morning from 8. Tune in live for the full Frank experience.
Absolute Radio.